Crazy scenes on the LCO this evening, and the game which you may or may not all have been waiting for is of course on the horizon, and these guys, they mean business. They're right at the top. And let's talk about Bliss first, of course. These individuals, you know them, you love them. They've gone overseas many times, both to represent Oceania and then also just to play in other bloody leagues, haven't they? Skimmy.
They certainly have, mate. Yeah, they're a team that are fairly star-studded, as Max already eloquently described. It's a combination of the best of Bliss and the best of Chiefs, and a bit of the best of Oceanic Legacy, I suppose, right? The new boys in town are looking to try and be the top dogs overall right now. And as you can see from their win records, 7 games, 1 defeat in a series. 3 wins and a single draw. I mean, ultimately, pure aggression, pure mechanics, and a demonstration that, you know, League of Legends are still pumping out some pretty good talent down under. So a young team, but a team still filled with so many championships, is primarily in Biopanther with, 5 to his name. So an absolutely star-studded roster. And a big reason why we're hyping this series up so much is because both teams are in such high form. It really is the new versus the old.
The new versus the old, indeed. And I just want to know exactly what's going to be going down at the end of today, because only one of these teams can be all the way up on top. And is it going to be the one we just saw, or is it the one we're looking at right now? Same can be said as what I just said before. For this team, there's bloody experience out the wazoo. Players that are be coming back home from overseas, from representing the country everywhere. And look, they have a very, very large shot at the title, don't they, Max?
They absolutely do, right? That was their goal coming in, and that was what everyone kind of expected of them the second that they announced their roster. You know, from top to bot, these are players who you could argue are the best, if not definitely top 2 in their roles, right? Swiper the only kind of question mark simply because he is transitioning to a new role, but even he has looked like he's taken that transition in stride. So there are really no weak points on this team. Their previous showings, they have dismantled everyone in the league, and now the big question is, how do they look against Bliss, right? This is their kind of first true test against the big dogs of O's. Will they come out on top, or will they be defeated?
That's a good question. And there's only one way to find out. That's getting into the game, getting through the game, and crowning a winner or a drawer like we had in the first series of the day. And look, that's the thing, right? This would be hype if one of the teams won, but it'd also be kind of hype if they drew, because if they did make it to playoffs and they did face each other once again at some point, that's when they can be like, hey, look, we're going to win. You know, we got more maps. You know, we've won more games. Anyway, look, let's compare the pair and have a look at some stats. Max, you love stats. Tell me about these ones.
Well, as opposed to what I kind of said the last time we looked at stats, these show that these teams are the best. Right, you can see first and second in basically everything. The key ones there, DPM and GPM. You can see both first and second for Antic respectively, right? These are teams who know how to get gold and they know how to use it to get damage on the board, right? Their carries are some of the best in the region for a reason, and that's exactly why. You can also see that their objective control, whilst it is Bliss favored, both teams are very willing to contest these Dragons and Heralds as well, right? Bliss first across the board in that objective control.
You can see Antic not so much with the objectives, just kind of going for different objectives, maybe some towers. But look, let's talk about experience a little bit more. We got a lovely graphic as well, Skimmy, to show us this experience. Ryoma, 5-4-1. I'm seeing 5-6-5 there for King as well. That's a lot of bloody games.
It's a lot of bloody games, Mac. As you say, right, these players have been around for such a long time. They've absolutely dominated the region, and hence why they got the opportunity to go overseas to showcase their abilities there as well. And you can see the culmination of both these teams, right? Nearly 2,000 games for the side of Antic. 10 titles shared all between them, as opposed to Bliss, who we're calling the new up-and-coming, the go-to of that modern-day era. Even 1,000 games and between them, in 6 titles, primarily in favor of Biopanther. I think the thing that really stood out for me is the mid lane, like the amount of games played, right? Roma 541, Harry 407. Nobody in the league even comes close. The highest in mid lane would be Kisei at 212. You think about Kisei, you think like he's been the face of mid lane for such a long time.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere near that he comes close to. So really we are talking about the old guard versus the new, and these players have so much experience under their belt, hence why we are coining it the match of the split.
Yep, and you're talking about mid, so it's a perfect time to throw this head-to-head up. Hayri up against Ryoma. These two can, well, blue. They're going to have to in mid today, and I don't know who's coming out on top, Max.
Me neither, Mac. I think one thing that we can say about both of these mid laners is that they're both pretty bloody good at League of Legends. You can see Harry has basically impeccable laning stats. I've always viewed Harry as the more reserved of these two mid laners, and that's not in a bad sense, it's just that he's more measured. On the other hand, you have Ryoma pumping at 36.2%, which is just an absurd team damage percentage, but it shows that he will always be up in your face. 1,057 damage per minute. This is a guy who will do whatever it takes to get your health bar down to 0.
That's how you win in competitive games of League of Legends. And someone that loves League of Legends generally more than competitive games, but also the competitive games is Why Not. Mate, how you doing? It's been a minute. I've missed you. God, I've missed you. Give me a kiss. Come on. Hey. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Oi, there it
I
is.
missed you too, Mac.
Well, that was much closer than I was expecting, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Look, talk to me about today's game. How pumped are you for it?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, I think honestly, in this past kind of week, I've kind of overcome a lot of my I don't know, some issues. I guess I guess I haven't really been showing them as much on stage. But when it comes to my performance and my confidence, I think it's been a lot I've had to overcome in the past week, and I think I'm kind of there, and that makes me incredibly excited for today's game. I think I've got to show a whole new Why Not, and I can't wait to bring it to Antic.
I think we're all incredibly excited, and Skimmy is almost the most excited, aren't you?
I always am, yeah, absolutely shouting all day, every day. Well, talk to me a little bit about some of those changes, because I think when we've had an interview with Bio in the past, it's all been about like trying to reel in and sort of give you the confidence to make those plays, because he knows you've got that ability to do so, but sometimes just need that backup from the rest of the team. Yeah, make that play. Don't second guess yourself. Sort of let that instinct take over.
Yeah, I think the biggest changes for me is just I feel like I truly need to kind of understand something in order to kind of full send it, right? Like, I think relying on my teammates' trust is always like important, and that's something that I always have, and especially with this team, right? But I think once it clicks and I'm kind of on the exact same page as them, then it's something that like I don't need to check in with my team, right? We kind of both know the right thing and we can do it at the same time. And that kind of decisiveness, I think, has kind of let me down in the past for myself, that lack of decisiveness. But I think now that we're on the same page, now I have that further understanding. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what we can unleash.
Would this almost feel then like the series of all series to try and test it into full practice and make sure that everything is ready to go, all that sort of learning is understood before playoffs come around?
Yeah, I mean, this is the last week before playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we have one more next week.
Week
but
6, yep.
I reckon this does feel like the end of the initial split, right? Is it the match of all matches? Sure, for this kind of initial first stint. When we get to playoffs, that's when we're going to go further. And no matter what happens on the day today or what's happened in the past for any team, playoffs is where the medal really gets shown, and that's where you qualify.
Yeah, sweet as.
Beautiful. It's just the warm-up, Max.
Yeah, look, we looked at the mid lane matchup before, and I wanted to get your kind of take on it. Obviously, as a jungler, you're going to be a big part of that. If you had to describe the mid lane matchup, perhaps as like a Google search or something, what would you say?
As a Google search, I'll say Google how to inflate damage share. Google Seraphine bot lane. Google tank jungle. Those are probably my my Google searches for that situation. All I know is that you got to learn how to read stats, and if you're locking in Seraphine bot lane and full tank junglers, you're not really gonna have a low damage share as a mid laner.
We'll take it. We'll take that. Look,
I'll be sure to Google that.
Yeah, please do.
And on that
Max.
note, look, Max, you have to show us your Google search history. Put it on Twitter for everyone to see. No deleting, no clearing. Huh? And why not? Look, we'll let you go because we've got something to sort out here. Good luck in the game.
Hey, Google Bliss Shop, Google Why Not 10 perhaps, and Google Prince Charming, Max, because you are looking delicious today.
Oh,
I'm out.
Oh, stop it, you.
I'll eat him up.
Dang.
Eat him up.
Every time he gets longer. Every time he gets longer airtime. I swear.
I feel like production love it at this point. They've allocated space for the plug.
Yeah.
I think you're just like feeling the heat because he gave you that compliment and you're like, whew, feels like I've been.
He
up
did.
here
I'm
for
a bit flustered. I won't lie. I won't lie back.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Now look, nice little bit of insight, but inflate what damage damage share?
Damage share. I mean, he raises a valid point, right? He obviously said it in quite a, entertaining way because it is why not. But it is true, right? I think the way that Antic have been tending to draft has been around enabling Ryoma to be the carry, right? Whether that be through Swiper playing something like a Jarvan or a Maokai, something where he is just kind of that tank, enabling him to really pump out those numbers.
Well, look, someone that why not is probably going to try to run into his lane at some point today is Zoranus, and he's here for the interview. Mate, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Honestly, like, not sure how today is going to go, but we haven't scrimmed Bliss in a while, so we'll see how we go. Like, not too nervous. We're just chilling.
Are you excited to play top lane again? Of course. You know, it feels like I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Saw you like once, twice last week, but no, I'm just your face. You know, I haven't seen your face in a while because now you've got all these big dogs with experience coming back. Like, what's it like playing around them as someone that's just been sort of playing with a lot of OS players for the last couple of years?
Well, they're still technically OS players, but it's pretty good. Like, they do bring some more experience. It's interesting to hear like their different views on the game, and it's helping level up my play for sure.
Good to get that little bit of insight and get the experience to level up your own games. Gimme, what about you?
Yeah, well, Zoranus obviously been, I want to say, I view it as a compliment, but a bit of a mad scientist, both yourself and Biopanther, in terms of massive champion pools, unafraid to bust out weird and wacky picks. Does that feel like one of these kind of series where a weird pick is necessary to try and upset this almost pre-figured out meta, or is it a case of we just want to play the most stable, most set in stone, get the gears running to make sure that we're hitting playoffs in the best form?
Look, I think like certainly at any point in time, either side might bust out a weird pick, but honestly, I think if our team just plays standard, we're going to win.
Okay, there you have it.
Just keep it bloody simple, Max.
First of all, fresh cut, mate. That is looking fantastic. I just want to get that out of the way. Second of all, I know you're a big guy who looks at other regions and to try kind of draw inspiration. I wanted to know if you as a team are kind of someone that does that, if you guys are looking at other regions for inspiration, or you have your own style that you've created and don't need to look at anyone else.
I think everyone, especially OS, like looks at other regions, right? Like the gap between us and say like LPL and LCK is massive. Like, I hate to say it, but it's true. So I think like everyone does look towards them for inspiration, and like we're not just gonna blindly copy. We'll just take things like here and there. We'll see what they do, see what they think's good.
Cool.
Teemo top lane is confirmed. There you have it, Max.
Teemo top lane. A little bit of
It's
fun.
a lock.
A little bit of crazy business going on up top today. I guess we'll see if that happens or not. But we've got a game to get to, and Zoranus, you've got to be in it. So we've got to let you go, mate. Enjoy the game, and congratulations on the interview. And good luck is what I meant to say. But look,
Congrats on the
Thank you for the interview.
Congrats.
Well done, mate.
Yep.
I made it.
Congrats.
Production, help! I'm held
Get him
hostage.
off the screen!
Oh, no,
Why
Why would you do that to us?
I'm stuck in the cringe matrix. Oh no, he's like, why am I here? We're like, why are you still here? Oh no. Oh, make it end.
Anyway.
Oh, we're getting called out because we didn't say bye to... Oh, okay, fair enough. We left our manners.
It's all right. I said congratulations. Is that not the perfect time to get him off the
Congratulations.
Sorry, they pick red side.
Hey, it's a red side.
They pick red side. They don't do that. Bliss is cooking something. What's going on here?
What's
All right,
going
red
on
side,
here?
both games. Crazy. All right, keep your eyes peeled because that could be the difference maker. Or
Mid lane
maybe
counter
Bliss.
pick. I'm chucking it out there into the void.
okay, okay. Play around mid. Buff up that damage. Buff up your Twitch points. Gamba up there. Boom. Put your points in. Let us know how you think this one's going to go. I wonder if they got it right for the last one because none of us got it right. We weren't expecting a draw.
You know
Yeah,
what
we'll
Max
see.
said at the start of the day? I'm going to be, I'm going to stop messing around today. I'm not going to do any more draws. Go straight
I'm
2-0s,
locked
mate.
it in.
Yeah, then we're like, we'll do a draw for this one, mate.
Yep, but it's the same side both times. Look, I want to apologise to Nat for last game's prediction. I got it wrong, but I did somehow manage to overtake you both for her. So, yeah.
You're just
Host
a
on
goat.
top, huh? So while we go on 1-1, do we think that it's not going to be one-sided? We think it's actually going to be that close that both teams get a shot?
Yes. I haven't seen enough of these teams being tested against other teams of their caliber
Yeah.
to actually know their relative strength. And I think that in that case, the safest bet is a 1-1.
Oh, what's that? My relative is calling me. I gotta go. Champ Select's ready.
What are these segues? Well,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, we've actually got a chance to speak to each other now for a little bit, so we can let that one blow on over and, yeah, talk about what we're going to see here. Bliss electing for red side, which is a complete outlier given the current trend of things in the last few weeks. But let's see if any of these bans, any of these picks really catch us off guard.
So the one big thing that's standing out to me right now is the Kalista being available, right? King did pick this in their previous showing versus Fury and just absolutely demolished that bot lane, right? From start to finish, there was that level 1 play that enabled them to gain control of the lane. And then since then, they just kind of ran away with it. And to me, leaving this up definitely signals that there is a plan from the side of Bliss, right? Whether that be to, pick it up themselves if it gets through the draft, because it's going to be the first pick center from Antic.
Certainly is. Another case of pick the champion and scale into the late game, which certainly has been Antic's strength, right? They've always been a case of, well, especially when we saw them debut up against Grand Zero, it was a case of lose the early game, but absolutely catch it in the late game to bring it back in their favor. As to be almost expected, you say, almost a bit of a known quantity when a team locks in on their side. The red response tends to be the Zyra Khan.
Yeah, absolutely does. That is kind of the prevalent response here. The thing I love about the center, though, is Dragku as a player. He is so fantastic at being able to pair with it a range of champions just because he has experience in that top lane, right? He knows how to play basically everything, and now he's going to default back to this Tahm Kench. So a really nice pick at enabling this center to play with kind of reckless abandon, and this Orianna that has been so powerful in the hands of Ryoma once again will return to the mid lane.
Certainly will be. And we've already seen a bit of Orianna action tonight, and it had a bit of an impact. Those shockwaves were really starting to hurt, and you're expecting at this level even more so. It's going to really find its mark. What is the response then from Bliss? We're sort of anticipating the mid lane counter pick, but perhaps it's to be elsewhere as the Akali comes out as a response.
Yeah, really interesting response here. Harry's kind of thrown down the gauntlet, said, okay, I'll accept the laning phase is a bit against my favor, but once we get into those team fights, once we get into those skirmishes, I am going to be too much to take over. And really, Akali is quite a nice champion to have against this Tahm Kench, right? Because you can create so much chaos in the middle of a team fight with a Shroud, with all your mobility. Oftentimes, you can catch off carries who simply aren't in range of Tahm Kench in these fights, right? So it's going to be on to the bot lane of Antic to position very carefully, or else they'll be perfectly executed by this Akali from Hayri.
It certainly will be, and we saw just how strong it was with Dajong's performance, right? If the Akali gets ahead early, it's an absolute nightmare to try and contend with later on. Well, if we're wondering where that counter pick could be, potentially in the top lane, but also in the jungle too, that would be the biggest experience gap. Not from a sense of how long you've played the game, but from the position stand of things, right? Why not? Obviously, very, very good in the jungle, but Swipe has found his moments, right? Despite being this quote-unquote auto-filled jungler, he's not looked too out of place when he's been playing the likes of a Jarvan or a Poppy.
That's the thing, right? And Swiper is a player who has very solid fundamentals. We talked about it earlier in an interview. He actually said that the coaching aspect has really helped prepare him for jungle because he gets to have this kind of top-down view of the game, really understand the way that the game flows. And as a jungler, that's really what you're trying to do in game, right? You are trying to measure the lanes, you're trying to measure where you need to be on the map. And so now, transitioning into this role, he is very well set up. But the question is, what happens when pressure actually gets put on him? And that pressure might come in the form of a Brand who is going to be blitzing through his own jungle and then right into yours.
That he certainly will be. We've already seen this champion be played by Schönfire recently, and we already saw just how exceptionally fast its clear was. Very much the same sense of an Udyr, you had to imagine, right, in terms of how quickly you can clear. But then once you group up for those team fights, your damage is absolutely devastating. And it begs the question then, what is the response? A very standard one, right, with the Maokai, as it's time to blindly pick your top lane here for Zoranis.
Yeah, it is, and this is just a fantastic matchup for Brand. Brand loves versing these higher HP tanks, melee champions who he can just proc his passive off again and again and again. And I think that Team Bliss kind of knew that, right? They picked this Brand anticipating a champion like the Maokai to come out from Swiper, and this is going to allow Wanna to just outpace him and really be able to dictate the flow of the game. That's another thing about Swiper is he hasn't actually really been tested by a jungler who's getting aggressive, who's getting up in his face and pushing the pace of the game. Well, I wonder whether his fundamentals will be able to stand up when he's getting tested like that.
We'd have to imagine so, right? He's had a few tests, but maybe not one as severe as this, given the form that both teams find themselves in. It's going to be an interesting case there as we do get that final pick in the form of a Cassante, which seems, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but you're low-key expecting something a little bit crazy there to try and upset things here. But ultimately, both teams have found themselves the comp that they feel most comfortable with. Are you leaning towards a particular one? Do you feel like Bliss got what they wanted for a double red side series?
Look, I think that the saving the 5th pick to the last pick wasn't really that influential at all. I think that BioPanther could have picked this Cassante, you know, really anywhere in the draft. I think what really made this draft work was the brand for Team Bliss. I think that that's kind of a big X factor, but also it's very well positioned in this draft to find success. I think the only issue it's going to run into is later on in the game when it's running into an Orianna who's very fair to center, who's going to be outranging him. Then it might start to struggle, but even then he'll have this front line to hit. So I think if this brand can get ahead, I think if Why Not can path effectively, not take too many fights in the early game when he is slightly weaker, then he'll be in a very strong position to secure those mid-game objectives and hopefully secure the game.
It does very much feel like, I'm not sure about you, but it feels like mid-game is the real focal point of this one, given the fact that for Antic, you've essentially got triple scaling in a Senna, Tarm, and Orianna with a Maokai and Aatrox looking to try and bridge that and make sure you do stay relevant until that true power spike comes online. As for Bliss, though, it feels like tempo, tempo, tempo. It's about trying to find those picks, trying to get those kills, trying to prevent the game going any longer than 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely will be the case as we load into the game here, but Antic have drafted themselves a very stock standard comp, right? Pure and simple front to back. That's all they want to do. They want to make sure that they're getting these carries to a position where they can start to do that. But on the other hand, if they fall behind, their damage will be lacking at certain points, right? If this center isn't able to scale effectively with those souls, suddenly you're looking at a top side with a Maokai. And yes, this Aatrox will be really strong, but there'll be the Cassante to nullify. So all going to come down to how we're navigating the early game, how we're able to fight those early skirmishes around the Void Grubs, around the Dragons. That's really going to dictate the flow of this game.
Certainly should do, and it's a game of massive quantities, given that these teams find themselves tied at the top of the table, looking to try and really be the pinnacle of Oath at this point, with not much long to go in terms of playoffs just around the corner. The pressure is knocking. It's a bit of a sweet homecoming in the sense of, yes, some of these players are returning back from overseas, but also for Hayri, you know, in that final year of the OPL, he played on order with Swiper. Now they find themselves as opposition. So a chance for old teammates to have a bit of fun on the Rift.
And also a chance for this mid lane dispute to kind of settle between who is actually the best mid laner that we've produced, right? I think that is a very valid discussion to be having with both Hayri and Ryoma in the picture. They're both mid laners who have accomplished things in OST and then gone over to accomplish things in other countries as well. As you can see, Why Not might get found out here.
Certainly may, but based on the angles and based on their tools to start things off with, is actually just being able to walk out. No panic flashes, no forced engage. Just a really nice bit of intuition to say, let's just scout this one out and see what we can get.
Yeah, smart level 1 play there from Antic, right? Wanting to make sure that Brand's Clear does get spotted out. They do know roughly, you know, what time he will be doing his camps, but just to have that extra visual confirmation does make it a fair bit nicer. And you can see already the team play coming to a head. Swiper relegated to starting his buff by himself, but is used to this now. He's used to playing these tanks. Why Not, on the other hand, doing the same thing, but once these junglers start getting ramped up, this Brand moves through the jungle so much faster than this Maokai.
Certainly does. Then once they do get a chance to hit those ganks, then the electrocute is there, and big damage certainly will be found. But both junglers are starting on opposite ends of the map, so pathing away from one another. I do want to bring into question, I suppose, what we should expect from these junglers from the very first few minutes in this game, whether or not we're anticipating ganks, or if it is going to be one very much about the objective control, because we saw the stats before, and as far as Bliss are concerned, you know, that has been one of their big strengths as a team.
Why Not's job is absolutely to get 6 camps in as quickly as possible, right? That is all you want to do on this Brand, really, is to make sure you're getting your full clears on repeat. Because once you do that, you can start moving, you can start trying to look for plays yourself. Whereas the Maokai is in a much better position to kind of do that once he hits level 3. That's all you really have to do, because that's all you really care about, right? Maokai isn't a champion who you care, if he's funneled gold. You want him to be getting gold onto the carries, onto this Senna, onto this Orianna, who, by the way, is already having a fantastic showing in his mid lane.
Certainly is. You can see every single time Harry goes up the last hit with that 3-point strike, it's always met by either the command attack or an auto attack out of this Orianna. So much so that he's already got the ability to rotate out our lane and look to try and plant some really aggressive vision to make sure nobody's going to try and sneak their way in for that potential gank. Be checking with bot lane as well. 160. I want to almost say that Kurak's performance last game may be a record for O's. I'm not really reminded of any kind of performance where we've had a center get that late into this one, but we certainly know that King loves the champion and will be looking to try and emulate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely will be, especially playing this support center. Going to have a lot of opportunity there to find something. Why not towards this top lane, but that ward will spot him, and without the ghost on brand, your ganking routes are quite slim as Harry's trading in the mid lane.
I mean, this becomes a bit of a spicy one, right? Because you're trading HP, but it hits a point where it's like, well, it's energy versus mana, and Harry should just win out on that front. He's going to get protected now by Why Not Parving into his lane, but nice bit of vision that was dropped only moments prior by Roma is going to get spotted, get swept, and removed.
Yeah, he also has quite a bit more innate sustain. You know, obviously the pot from Ryoma will be helping, but Harry, with that resolve setup, plus the fleet footwork and Doran shield, is just going to be having such a good time as Harry once again training, but Swiper is here.
Old teammates rock up, flash to flash. Where's he gone? That's not where he wants to be. It's an easy twisted advance. Maybe a few laughs shared around between teammates, but that is first blood for Antic.
Uh-oh, that is the definition of a panic flash there. You can see the chuckle he makes immediately when he realizes that he's just given away first blood, but still a nice play by Swiper there, right? He uses the tempo after taking the scuttle crab just to look mid lane. And sometimes that's all it takes is a mistake to happen like that, and suddenly this Orianna has gotten first blood.
For what was such a interesting lane to spectate as they battled out on a 1v1 affair, it all came crashing down with a, you want to say, uncharacteristic mistake. Now, you don't want to jump to conclusions already and say that players are nervous, but I tell you what, that would feel really, really good for Ryoma, and especially for Swiper to start things off in such a convincing fashion.
Yeah, it absolutely would here, as Violet is going to recall on not one, but two wards in that brush. You can see every single ward in Antic's inventory basically used to ward out these brushes. Make sure that no cheeky bases are happening in this Zyra Khan lane, right? You've got to have a fair base. No one's cheating and then getting the Lover's Embrace recall. So, decent affair towards this bot lane. Senna keeping up nicely in terms of their stacks as well. Draku not falling too far behind in CS, right? That's one of the things you often see in these Senna lanes is the support often falls a fair bit behind because he's not able to CS as effectively, but Draku doing quite a nice job here in this early game.
It certainly is. Worth mentioning though, the amount of control around this objective. Swiper's walked in, stolen away one of the Void Grubs and said that's enough. I'm happy, because if Why Not's not been here to clear them all, then that is a steal that could work twofold for us. Certainly in terms of looking towards the next one, Bliss would have to pick up all three to guarantee the Void Mites.
Yeah, absolutely. Not wanting to give over those 5 Void Grub stacks to the side of Why Not. Meanwhile, a very measured game. And this is what I kind of expected from these two teams, right? There's so much respect, there's so much discipline, and simply the lanes are being played properly. There's not that many opportunities for a Dragon to be had, but here goes Harry.
He's going to rock up and say, this time I've got a jungler. Oh no, the shockwave on his head! And I tell you what, cool guys, do not look at explosions.
Yeah, Why Not just going to pick up the kill there? Could transition this in towards a Dragon as well. He will spot this out. I wonder if he'll go for it, Skimmy. Has the smite, but no flash. If he goes in, it's a death sentence.
His bot lane is lagging behind just a fraction there, so awkward time. He can walk in, he can apply some damage so you can get the Dragon, but you won't be able to disengage. But the Abyssal Dive comes on out, knocks up Swiper in the meantime. Scott is the focus. Swiper's falling dangerously low, working his magic with the passive, but it's just not enough. It's a Dragon at the cost of a kill.
Yeah, very nice capitalization there from the side of Bliss. They realized that Maokai had no flash, so despite him being amongst 2 other members of Antic, the second the Team Bliss's bot lane show up, he will just get taken down. So a very nice sequence, capitalizing on the flash to Ryoma, and there might be another member looking to do the same here.
This is crazy. It's been very rare that we've seen Biopemper go for the classic roam into mid lane, but he's popped the ghost, he's going invulnerable.
Whoa.
He's knocked him through space and time, halfway through mid lane, but I think he instantly regrets that decision because Swiper and Zonas have both turned up as well. But he's running as quickly as he can, and he may be out scot-free. His bot lane is where it's at. And speaking of the devil, Scott is dead.
Yes, Scott is dead, and so is Biopanther. He does eventually fall in response to the teleport play. It's a nice idea, but Antic are just so quick to pull the trigger as Swiper. He's not done. There's no sums here.
No sums, no HP, and no chance to arrive, or run away, I should say, right? So Violet just concedes himself to this one. They spoon feed the kill across to Ryoma, who made the great trek from mid to bot. It's covered by Zoranis, and now Oriana's going to return now as a free kill mid laner.
Yeah, incredibly fed. As we take a look at this bot lane replay here, you can see Scott's pretty low HP to start things off, but finds King, who's really kind of caught sleeping there. Good flash to avoid the Blade Caller. Doesn't get rooted up by that, and simply there's just not enough damage. That Shroud preventing all the autos from coming through from Violet is really the difference maker. And meanwhile, Biopanther gets flashed on by Zoranis, who also TP'd down to defend the play. A big swing in favor of Antic.
But you can see the major defining factor between both series tonight, right? The fact of just how convincing, or how decisive, I suppose, is a better term to try and describe this one. How decisive both players and teams are in terms of we see a play, we go for this play. We're all in on that, and we waste no time as a result. Here's a bit of a check-in with the last time we saw Ryoma on this champion. 8-0-6. Certainly not a bad performance. Yes, you could talk about maybe stats being inflated, but this is a champion that he's comfortable with, and one that he's already in that spot to deal devastating effects again with.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing on this champion. Very scary prospect once he gets ahead, right? Especially with the bodies that he has in front of him. Think about how hard it is to actually get on top of an Orianna this game. When you have a Tahm Kench, Maokai, and Aatrox all bodyguarding him, it's a very hard ask for anyone, really. We check back in with the bot lane. Bit of trading back and forth, but nothing too serious here. To me, it really is going to come down to these next objectives. Dragon spawns in 2 minutes.
Yeah, just missing out on that tongue lash there as Draken tried to deny the reset for the bot lane of Bliss. But ultimately going to be sitting pretty happy, knowing that they're just patiently farming up, picking up those souls, getting stronger and stronger by the minute, and King, being an AD carry player, will be very comfortable to pilot the center as the game progresses on. Speaking of, though, you'd imagine that aside from the reset time, it's all about these objectives once again to try and find those moments to strike. Yes, someone is being burnt, would put a bit of a beacon towards this bot lane primarily with no flashes there. But as soon as Draku's got the ultimate, which he does now, a Devour denies everything.
Yeah, Devour is going to be so crucial here. It's going to be on Draku to make sure he's not getting caught up in the CC as well, right? Obviously, if he's getting CC chained himself, he's not going to be able to help out Violet or Harry if they're the ones who are taking that CC. But as we check in with the items, it's actually Wynot who's got his first completed. Harry will be forced to flash.
Really nicely done there, the link up between King and Ryoma. Old teammates coming together again to make it happen and look to crush it in the early game. It's only 10 minutes in, but a flash has been burnt. Ryoma nearly getting a kill with a shockwave to start it all off. And this Bliss bot lane are getting pushed back.
Yeah, crucially though, Wynot does manage to pick up the 5 grubs, right? So they will have that available to them as they're trying to find Swiper. A nice stun, and there's Rylai's on him too, Skimmy.
It certainly is. He's slowed. He's got nowhere to go. He's burnt the flash, but is it enough? Draku waiting and knowing, do I need to actually use this ultimate? Or is that what they were banking on? And I say before, there's no flashes in the bot lane. With no ultimate now, even easier then for Wynot to consider a gank there.
Yeah, crucially though, there is no quickness, right? Scott did use that one to have to force the Devourer out, but just a nice window there by Wynot to punish the invade. He finishes the grubs, then a beeline straight towards his bot side jungle to make sure this Maokai isn't getting anything, and luckily this Maokai is a very slow clearer, right? So if he's on an objective, you know he's going to be taking him a while, but here's Wynot taking the Scuttle Crab in perfect position for this dragon to spawn.
Tell you what though, this brand has been on point with the stuns and guaranteeing that the lockdown has the damage to bolster it thereafter. And a rare moment then for Scott to leave lane, group up with Wynot and look to see what they can find. Swiper sat in his own jungle right now, going for the clear. But all of this comes down to the idea that they want to protect this next dragon. First one went the way of Antic. Yes, Bliss do have those Void Grubs in their back pocket, but they want everything. And we know that's been a real strong point of them, so they're going to be greedy.
Yeah, and greed can be good, and greed can also be punished, right? It's up to whether the enemy team is able to take advantage of that greed and catch them out in misopportune situations. But it looks like Team Bliss, with all the vision they have, I mean, look at the sea of red that is really in this bot side jungle here. They're going to have the first move on this dragon, and they're going to secure it one apiece.
There's nothing their opposition will do about that one. They will see them at every different corner, so it's an easy pickup. A soul that is going to be denied for a fair bit of time now as a result of that acquisition. And and we go across to another chem map. I mean, it feels like we've had that in both series tonight, right? The bigger heals, the bigger blast cones, the bigger reveals. I think like it's probably the best one for this potential matchup.
I really like the changes with the plants. Look, I think that the dragon itself isn't the greatest, but the plants definitely make it interesting, right? Especially for someone like Harry. You know, he can actually look for these honey fruits in kind of weird locations, the ones that spawn in the top side jungle, the ones that spawn in the bot side jungle, and makes a lane that's really losing a lot more survivable, right? You don't have to be forced out of lane, and as I say that, he does have to take it back here, and this just speaks to the power of Ryoma on this Orianna, right? Give him 3 kills, yes, give him all this gold, and he will absolutely make use of it.
Certainly is an investment that has been paying off twofold for them right now, and whilst they are dead even in CS, and a lot of that was now just being denied under tower by Harry without that TP available, it's a huge opportunity for Antic to capitalize in both lanes, right? You've seen them winning in mid, you've seen them smashing it on bot lane, and King's nearly only got 1 plate left.
Yeah, only 1 plate left for this center and Tahm Kench to take. It's a very scary prospect when you have a lane that scales as well as they do, just completely dominating the lane phase, and that's exactly what they're doing here in this bot lane. And the scary thing is that there's no real opportunity for the mid laner to move either, right? It's just complete priority on this bot side of the map for Antic, and it shows in the 1.5k gold lead they've managed to amass.
You're going to be feeling pretty comfortable about their chances in this one, that is for sure. You're only really looking at a major deficit in the jungle you play at this point, given the fact that it is a Brandon to a Maokai, is to be expected, definitely excelling at various rather different aspects of the game. But it's relentless pressure in the spot lane, and whilst we talk about the Zaya Rakan being a sort of a snap response to a bit of a stable lane, it just wants to get through it, right? You just want to get the Navori quick blades online as quickly as you can, and it just updates your DPS by such a huge amount.
Yeah, absolutely does. Out of the laning phase is where that Zaya and Rakan can really start to shine in these team fights. But speaking of team fights, it looks like this Rift Herald will be the next point of contention. Violet is really the only one who's staying in the bot lane here. Both bot lanes coming up from Antic, and the fight's on.
Fight is on. Out goes the Brambles there from Swiper, looking to try and zone them away. Picked up by Zominus, of all people, as the smite is used and it's guaranteed, but it always felt like an Antic win, just given the numbers advantage, right? Given the fact that Violet did elect to say, I need to stay bot lane. He has gone back ultimately, and it has resulted in a bit of a lane flip taking place to try and match the choice of Antic. I don't think Rome will be too upset by that one. He continues to take the 1v1 into Harry.
Yeah, and I think that's what Bliss kind of realized, right? They were kind of hesitant to start that fight, didn't want to make sure they committed too deep. And they made the right decision, because the second they see it, why not goes though?
He definitely does go. Flash, stun. Doesn't really put an afterthought into it. And if you're talking about his interview where he's saying, I just needed the confidence, I just need to know, that looked like a prime example of it, as Bipanther instantly pounces upon it.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? It's a big kill going over to the side of Team Bliss. It's a flash expended, yes, but ultimately any gold that you can get into the pockets of this brand, the better, right? He's already scaled 1-0 to 100% KP, making moves across the map here, so this brand is definitely someone to keep your eye on as this game goes on.
That's so much lockdown, right, between the Rylai's and the Iceborne Gauntlet too on that top side, so really, really strong affair for them to lock down a target if they do get within range. So certainly a fair bit of kiting potential into some very beefy champions like the Aatrox, the Maokai, even the Tahm Kench to some extent. But still, you've got to be concerned about the fact that, you know, when these flashes are down, it's a prime position for a shockwave to land, and it is this Orianna scaling and scaling, right? 3-1, as we've mentioned. Soon to have the Archangels fully updated.
Yeah, and also the Verdant Barrier providing so much value this game against the double AP mid-jungle of Team Bliss, as well as providing, you know, the new spell shielding effect. It's going to make Ryoma feel really comfortable in these side lanes. Typically, Orianna doesn't like facing up against Akali in those kind of longer lanes post-laning phase. But now, with all this magic resist, plus the Archangels like you mentioned, there is so much survivability that even if you do get on her, there's definitely no guarantee that you kill her.
Certainly is a fair answer for some self-cast with the ultimate to peel and protect and try and get yourself out of dodge, as the Kainic gets picked up there by Dragku. So spell shield galore, really, across the board for Antic, as they want to try and deny all the wombo combo that Team Bliss might look to try and put together as we jump into a pause, which hopefully doesn't last too long. But I suppose early indications, Max, bit of a check-in. What are we making the series so far? Going as expected?
I think it's going absolutely as expected, and the reason I'm saying that is because it kind of feels like almost a major region game with the pacing of it, right? It's very respectful. There's none of the mistakes that we're so used to seeing from other teams who aren't as experienced in our league, really it's these teams choosing to fight. They're always deliberate about when they want to use their resources, when they want to use their summoners and their ultimates, and I think that that's really refreshing to see because it speaks to the skill of both of these teams, right? It really is deliberate play around these objectives, and 15 seconds till another one, I'm sure we'll get a new fight.
Yeah, I'm certainly sure of the fact as well. It certainly does feel like some pretty cerebral gaming, some conscious decision-making as to, is this a good decision? Is this a good call? Or is this even worth us fighting for? Is King already utilizing such a massive ranged advantage into the Zaya? Might get punished. Just warning shots there from Scott as he jumps on in. I think last time we checked him, we're King at about 60 stacks in the laning phase. He's well on his way to the magic 100. There's a summon the Herald in the mid lane. Swiper will hop on in, and he'll absolutely crush the very first turret of the game.
The turret in mid lane falling is a big one as well, right? Really opens up the map for the rest of Antic, who already have such a good time with their vision control, especially towards this bot quadrant now, as it looks like they're moving in, wanting to head towards this dragon. 3 members, Scott's there.
Scott is there and he was waiting with bated breath saying, do we go in or do we not? Because it wasn't the most convincing of quicknesses. The chums were there, but they certainly weren't going much more forward than just that as he jumps into pocket shield. But a Dawning Shadow finds infinite value. Everybody is clumped up together, and this is a fight that Antic are winning without Zoranus being there. Now he's arrived, now they're still clumped up, and he crashes it down with a 2-man stun to take them all to the dry cleaners. Harry in the shadows, he's got nowhere to go. Draku flashing away as he realizes that he's not as tanky as he wishes he was, but Biopanther narrowly escaping the center chains.
Yeah, it almost looked like Antic started that fight off being caught, but the Devour is just so valuable there. You can see he keeps King alive for so long that he's able to get into a position to really just unload that DPS. And like you said, Zoranus was removed from that fight to start. It was the 4v5. As we take a look at the start again, right, this Blast Cone getting Draku and King into a little bit of a sticky situation, but it's a really quick reaction there from Draku. Not only does he ult before King is CC'd, but crucially he ults before he is CC'd, so he's still able to actually cast that before King gets blown up, and then it's a massive shockwave combined with the Dawning Shadow into a choke that really seals this fight for Antic, sorry.
It certainly does. You see Biopanther never getting a fantastic ultimate to completely isolate out their key target, shut down Ryoma and get him out of this game, because as long as he's alive, look, he's going to do so much damage. Despite how tanky he was with the 2 items on lock, it just wasn't enough. Now that Verdant Barrier does get, in fact, upgraded to the Banshees, and he looks to live another day. Doesn't have the flash now, but it's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. So let's check in with the overall gold, and no surprises that Roma has the most in the game, but after that shutdown, Bio here on the Castante is sitting pretty as well.
Yeah, certainly sitting pretty. Ryoma, though, dominating almost 1k up on Hayri as they found the bot lane again.
They have found King, but he's overshot the grand entrance there and King actually gets away with murder on that one. He should have been caught out of position, but it's not to be the case. Swiper jumps in with a twist advance, but it gets flashed away from, so he travels such a great distance. Scott is running for the hills, and why not just limps out of the tongue lash that'll slow them down and potentially have been his demise. But that's a TP, and that's a flash that, yeah, Bliss will be pretty grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, they're grateful that they live in that play, but meanwhile on the top side of the map, Hayri just gets solo killed by Ryoma, who doesn't even lose that much health himself, and as a result of that, there's going to be another tower falling down. Here we go, let's take a look at what happens here. You can see Ryoma, so much damage, so much survivability as well right now. Hayri just gets a little bit overconfident, steps up to try to take some minions, and he just gets ran down.
It really is as simple as that. The need to try and break that spell sheet. He just gets run down. The observers have seen enough. Production take us back to the real game because another fight is looking to break out right now. Swipe at the Catalyst to try and start things off with it. Hayri returning to the scene of the crime. He is a clear target of mine. Kill this Ori. I need my revenge. But out of the shadows, he then is met by the Maokai. Dashing to try and find the perfect execution to try and get that kill. But the Devour once again is confused. But the Shockwave, they've all just walked into it. It's a triple stun. But then the knockback as Bio rips back the kill.
Skimmy, there's no TP on Zoranus as well. This is a Baron with 4 members of Team Bliss alive. I think they're going to go for it.
It's looking like the case right now. Zoranus has to run. And he's got a long distance to cover right now. The TP coming in to try and bolster their attempt. This is a Baron that doesn't look they want to try and turn away from. They look to be all in on this one. Their HP is low. It's getting in terms of smite range. It might be a 50-50. And it gets taken by one. He'll die for it. But his team have confirmed that Fired also has second casualty. But now that Zoranus is here, he missed the chains, but he leaps across the wall. He's got no flash, but he's got umpteen dashes. but he gets deterred as Scott finally returns to the play.
You'll take that as Team Bliss, you absolutely will. They find some nice picks to start it off. Here we go again, right? You can see Ryoma just gets a little bit overconfident, stays on the map too long, and that allows Hayri to come in with this TP. He doesn't do enough damage to actually kill him, but what he does do is draw the attention of Antic, right? This split between the rest of Team Bliss and this Akali who is pressuring. Draku has a really nice Devour plus Abyssal Dive combo, and that shockwave is huge. The fact that they still win the fight after this is a miracle, but luckily they do, and luckily this could be the tipping point in their favor.
Certainly could be, because it is Antic for what feels like an eternity. Getting the gold lead, like up against Grand Zero, it was 2 games where they fell behind pretty devastatingly as well. I think it was like down at least 2,000 golds. But this time, they found their way back in. They forwent the Void Grubs, played for the Dragons instead, and ultimately played for the kills with the ganks, and that's worked out in their favor still. The major focus has been this Orianna, from 3 kills to 5, and these shockwaves just continue to destroy.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It feels like in every fight, Bliss want to present a unified approach, but luckily, that's exactly what Orianna wants, right? She wants those members grouped up so they're able to fall into that shockwave, and Bliss, they're going to have to be more careful about how they position, because yeah, that fight goes in their favor, but I don't know how many times you can say 4 members of us got hit with a shockwave in a team fight and came out ahead. So even with this Baron, they're still about 2,000 gold behind. Will remain to be seen how much gold they're actually able to pick up, you know, with the standing gold in terms of the turrets that are available. But 14 seconds on this next Dragon, this would be soul point for Antic if they're able to pick it up.
Certainly would be, and Bliss will be banking on the bets that, well, we've got Baron for another whole minute. Maybe those combat power will be just enough to try and tip the scales in our favor. Speaking of, though, some item spikes have certainly come online. Navori Quick Blade's done now for Violet on the Zarya, massive for him. The Crypt Bloom also for Hayri, as he gets a little bit extra of that magic penetration to really rip through some of these tanks. So let's check in then with where this damage should be felt. Swipe is starting things off. Flash, Twisted Advance. Violet's the focus, and Violet is just going to die. He's being ripped back all over the show. He can jump into the sky, flash cleanse. It does not matter. Zoran has taken a 1v1 into Cassante and actually losing. Bio's winning the 1v1. He's got so much durability that even Zoranus can't take him down. And the rest of Antic limp away. Look at Ryoma, the ones that tried to start it off with the shockwave, but this time, no matter how tanky his build is, he has no juice left in the tank. Bliss see a target, and they just kill that target.
It'll take a while, but eventually Draku will go down as well. The Dragon fight going both ways. You can see that they jumped onto Violet at the start of the fight, managed to take him down with Swiper flashing on top of him to force out the ultimate. But at the end, it doesn't matter, right? This Cassante in ultimate plus Hayri managing to find the carries is enough to swing the fight in the fight of Bliss.
Let's run it back with the initial Dragon play. It all starts off with Bliss aggroing it, and then Antic saying, well, this one is too good to pass up.
Yeah, so look at the engage onto Violet, right? It's successful. They managed to take him down, but meanwhile on the backside, they absolutely take out King on this center, and that's really key because he is so much of your DPS that Hayri tries to find the kill onto Ryoma. There's too much magic resist for him to actually take him down, but this is where the brand value comes in, right? Brand excels at being able to take down these tanky members. He lives situations like this. So when you see a 3v3 with these champions alive, you know Bliss will be fine.
You certainly do, and I tell you what, if that's not a replay, that really paints the picture of the life of an AD carry. It's the highs and the lows, right? They did not get to play the game. I saw Violet, fantastic snap response to ultimate out of that initial engage, cleanses the exhaust, flashes away from something else, gets ripped by the Aatrox chains, and says, it's just unplayable. I'm 0-3. I'm strong, but I don't even get to stand still to auto-attack once.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the life of the AD carry, and I think that Antic have a very intelligent approach to these team fights. They've kind of acknowledged that because of the amount of MR that they've been able to stack this game, you know, with the Orianna purchasing that Banshee's Veil, with the K-Nick on both the jungle and support, if they take out Violet, they actually favor their chances in those extended fights, right? Because there is only magic damage to come after that, with the exception of Cassante, of course. So their approach to kill Violet, even through everything, is successful theoretically. However, it's not the case if you're still leaving all these carries alive to take out your own. Here goes Scott.
He certainly does. He's going in with the quickness, looking for that initial flank, but it's not worked out in their favor right now. It's flanks upon flanks in the mid lane. Zonis sees the target, and once again, let's take down this guy, but Violet gets the ultimate off. and is able to use the Blade Call in the mid lane and just absolutely crush the flank attempt of the Aatrox. The Shockwave onto 2, the Dawning Shadow across the entire enemy team, but it's not enough to get a kill. It's enough to drop them low, but that's about it.
A split fight once again, but it's Hayri who's able to buy the majority of the time there. You can see that Shroud was proving so valuable there. He's able to survive. Meanwhile, Zoran is getting 4v1'd and taken down. And once again, it starts off with Team Bliss here, looking for an engage. You can see Scott has a nice position onto King. He's a little bit separated from Draco at the moment, so potentially wanting to avoid that Devour. But the second that comes through, it's all about retreating. You can see Violet already trying to separate as much distance as he can. And with that Cassante ult, they really split the fight. Hayri is zoning off 4 members here. Look how far back King has to play because there's no Devour. And yes, the Shockwave's nice, but it's not enough.
And it really does feel like a battle of who can try and draw the aggro and retain it for longer, right? You mentioned Hayri holding them down in that bottom quadrant for such a long time, but Zoran is going to feel so hard done by, right? Has so much damage. And, you know, shows up, gets turned upon, and it feels like Antic, if they just get a 5v5, they win. It feels like every single time we've seen Zoran either rocking up a little bit later or always coming to the side. And Biopemp has got to cut out for him, instantly saying, you will not participate, and beats him in that 1v1. But still, we pursue the mid lane. A clear strategy here from Bliss that, yeah, we want to utilize these Void Grubs, we want to siege, and we want to see what your response is.
And that's another way that you can kind of target these Tahm Kench comps as well, is just by constantly engaging. Sure, Devour's really OP, but Biopanther just narrowly misses the drawback. Draco could still be found though.
He certainly could be found, and yes, you've got the thick skin, but you're still a support, you're not that tanky. He's living for such a long time, but it's just not enough. Exhaust and Summoner Heal were both burned at the very last second there, and that has come at a pretty crucial point in the game, because the second Baron is spawned.
The second Baron is alive now. You can see that 4 members of Antic are still available to respond. However, with no support, with no Devour, it makes these backliners' lives so much more risky. You can see Hayri already looking for the flank. He wants onto King.
He certainly does. Look at Romer's positioning. He was set up right behind that Baron, but unable to utilize right now. A 2-man route from the center locks in place both the aggressive members of both Scott and Hayri. But once again, they find Zoran isolated on his own. He's dashing. He's praying. He's running towards Zoriana, and he may have just found safe passage there. A fantastic ultimate from Swiper, cutting off the aggression there. But Bliss will not be deterred, and as a 5-man, they'll turn right back to the Baron.
Yeah, they're going to head back to this Baron skimmy. They know that there's no TP on the Aatrox, so he will have to head back to base, heal up, and then come out. Draco has arrived to the scene, so that Devour is available, but that Baron, it burns so fast.
It certainly does. The game, 30 minutes in, dead even on the goal, but the Baron's being picked up by Bliss for the second time in a row. Can they win this fight, and can they most importantly retain all their team? Try and step up for a little bit. Swiper is burning. King is looking to try and kite as best as he can. A 1-man route once again comes on out as they go in for the flash play from Why Not. Stun as many as they can in place. And across the wall they go. Bio, has he bitten off more than he can chew? I tell a lie. Violet is pissed off. He's had enough. There's the Quadra looking for the Penta. Denied. Denied by Hayri. But he gets given a chance, and that's what Violet can do.
Skimmy, it's a Baron, it's an ace. It's not only that, but they have a wave. They have these empowered minions, and they have the Void Mites. There's a TP on Hayri, and they have the wave. I think they're going to try to end.
They're going to try and end, and they're going to try and really stamp their authority in this series. We draft red side, we play from the red side, and we've asserted our control in this series. You might be the old guards, but make way for the new kings, because Team Bliss want to showcase what a series can look like as they start off game 1 in absolute fine form. Members frantically respawning, but it just won't be enough. GG, Team Bliss take game 1.
It feels like the story of our days today. One team fight into a win, but that simply is all it is. It's back and forth, but Team Bliss are ultimately the ones who find the fight. They find the Baron, and Violet goes instinctively, just takes over the entire fight, and takes game 1 for Team Bliss.
We saw a moment, a bit of a wisdom of the old Ultraviolet coming out to play there, and Team Bliss, currently sitting at the top of the table, are looking to retain that position as we jump to a break to return for game number 2.